Hi, my name is Madison Whitaker, and I'm doing my Project 2 over behavioral and social theories of learning. I chose to do Chapter 5 because of the different approaches it shows of ways that you can work with students' behaviors specifically in the classroom and at the school. Behavioral learning theories, there were two major behavioral learning theories that we learned about throughout the chapter, and that was classical conditioning and operant conditioning. They're also two of the most well-known and used often. Classical conditioning was created by Ivan Pavlov during a study that contained him working with dogs when he was feeding them. He learned that with the use of a neutral stimulus, he could create a conditioned response. But it should be noted that this is through a chain of reactions and it takes a period of time. It's not something that will be happening overnight. To be more specific, with classical conditioning, before it can be a conditioned response, you have an unconditioned stimulus, and in his specific study, it was the dog's food, and the unconditioned response was the dog's salivation at the mouth when they saw the food, and paired with the neutral stimulus, which was the ringing of a bell. Then, during the conditioning, when he was trying to get a conditioned response, the conditioned stimulus was paired with the unconditioned stimulus, which would have been the bell ringing whenever they brought the dog food out. This still created the unconditioned response of the dog salivating whenever they saw the food. But by the end of this, and after continuously practicing this, you will have them conditioned to a conditioned stimulus, which will create a conditioned response. And he got it to the point where the animals could, anytime they heard the bell, didn't even have to see it, they would salivate at the mouth. With operant conditioning, it was created by B.F. Skinner in a study that he was doing with rats. He learned that he could get them to increase a certain behavior by giving them something they wanted in return, and he thus learned the relationship of that behavior and consequences have. The principles of behavioral learning is consequences, and one of the most important factors is that consequences must follow the behavior automatically to have the most effect. Consequences can be used to weaken or strengthen a behavior. Consequences have two different roles, which are reinforcers and punishers. Reinforcers are pleasurable consequences and punishers are unpleasant. Specific examples of reinforcers are primary, secondary, positive, or negative. I'll talk about primary first. Primary is a consequence that fulfills your basic human needs, such as food. Secondary, I will also talk about, they acquire their value as the people associate them with a primary reinforcer, and there are three different types of secondary reinforcers. Those are social, which can be such as giving a pat on the back to a student, activities such as access to toys, or tokens such as a reward system with stickers. Then you have punishers, which are unpleasant consequences, and the specific example was presentation or removal. Removal would be such as a loss of a privilege, and our specific grade at my school, a loss of a privilege for them would be silent lunch. They don't get to talk to anybody and they have to sit at a separate table. Removal would be, that would be removal. Presentation would be giving them an aversive stimulus such as a scold, but removal would be the loss of a privilege. There are many different applications for this in the classroom, such as with classical conditioning, you can create a desired behavior, such as a timer going off. Over time, at first the timer meant nothing to the students, but now in my classroom they know anytime they hear a timer go off, they know it is time for them to get their things together in their trapper keeper, and it is time to begin getting ready to switch classes. So now, whenever the timer goes off, I don't have to say anything, it's just automatic. Operant conditioning can be used to weaken or strengthen a desired behavior, and this could be, in my classroom, every time they get in line order correctly without having to have redirection, they get a tally mark, and a tally mark equals a certain amount of time towards a game at the end of the day. Consequences, I'll give an example with positive punisher, which I could give specific reward or praise to increase a behavior of a student that is maybe struggling. My Works Cited shows that I just used the textbook to find this information and support what I've learned, and I would like to say thank you for listening to my presentation over social and behavioral learning theories.